Hi, my review is on the movie Skyfall, starring Daniel Craig and Judi Dench. And a summary of the movie: Bond's loyalty to M is tested as her past comes back to haunt her. As M16 comes under attack, 007 must track down and destroy the threat, no matter how personal the cost. And I'm not going to really, go through the movie details. You know, I'm not going to talk about um, you know, um, because I don't want to give the story away, so I try to really be good about that. The movie starts off with a cool motorcycle chase and a train fight on top of a train. I tell you, it was pretty cool. I mean, the action scenes in this movie were pretty darn good. You know, I really liked them. I really liked the action scenes in this movie. I think it was some of the best I've seen in Bond movies in a long time. Um, also, the movie has a familiar opening to it, kind of like the old Bond films, because this movie kind of made me feel like the old days, because um, you had, uh, like the beginning of the movie, after the chase comes to an end, then the music starts, with the woman singing, and then all this kind of fancy looking stuff and women dancing, and you know what I'm talking about in the old Bond movies, how they have the opening credits after the chase scene, and then there's the opening credits with all the music and everything. Well, that's what they did in this movie, and I think that was a pretty good. I don't think I've seen that in the other Daniel Craig Bond movies. I haven't seen it since the Pierce Bronson ones, I believe, but it was kind of neat to see that, the opening like that, and I think this movie is the best Daniel Craig movie of the series. I think I have seen the other movies, but this one is pretty darn good. It almost kind of feels like an old Bond movie, because they go to all these different locations around, in different places around the world. And yeah, the movie. I really like this movie. It was a good James Bond movie, no doubt. And there was all kinds of different locations that they filmed this movie in. Places like Shanghai, China, a couple of places in Turkey, um, Scotland, London. Of course, most of the movie took place mostly in the UK. But yeah, everything in this movie was pretty darn good. I think that the, uh, the villain in this movie, Patrice, is a crazy man who's out to kill M, and James Bond um, protects her. But this villain, Patrice, he's just a really crazy guy. I mean, this guy's got to be the most psychotic uh, villain I've ever seen. But he also kind of reminds me of like kind of a comic book villain for some reason. But yeah, it was a pretty good villain though. I mean, it was interesting. The special effects were good. The sound effects were good. The action scenes were good. I really liked what they had to offer in this movie as far as that goes. And there's something surprising that happens at the end of the movie, but I'm not going to say what it is because you just have to wait and see. But something big, surprising happens. I would say that I would give it I'd give it a B plus and a thumbs up. I think that it was one of the best Bond movies I've seen in a long time. I've never really been a big fan of the Daniel Craig series of James Bond movies. I've always liked, Roger Moore and Pierce Bronson. I like those Bonds, um, but this movie, Daniel Craig really did a great job as James Bond. And like I said, the movie kind of had a familiarity, as far as the old James Bond movies, where, they had he had a fancy car in there, they just, I don't know, and the way the movie opened up, after the chase, they had the credits, and then they had the thing with the woman singing and all the fancy glitter thing, you know what I'm talking about, and the lovely ladies and stuff. That was kind of reminiscent of the old Bond movies. So this was a good Bond movie. I really liked it. I liked the action scenes. Um, there was some pretty cool explosions and everything in this movie. Um, and But yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd go and see it. I mean, I saw it, but I would recommend you go and see it because it's a good Bond film. So that's all I got to say. Thumbs up, B plus, and everybody take care.